Ironman 70.3 Chattanooga 2023 edition. Waited 2 years to get back here, and it's a very bittersweet end to the experience.
The time difference was 6.5 minutes. In the 5 hours and 56 minutes that I spent on that course, surely there were 6.5 minutes I could have found somewhere. Not gonna lie, I haven't shed some tears. Some tears have been shed, but I'm so excited for Tif.
Start of the day, getting ready to head to the swim start, got our wetsuits on, had a little huddle with our team. It was really nice to know that we were all going to be out there sharing the course together, knowing that there were probably some big performances in our group just waiting. Honestly, I thought we were all going to turn in, if not our best days ever, at least our course PRs. And I was pretty confident that it was going to be a great day and we would all end the day celebrating together and reminiscing on something incredibly memorable for each and every one of us.
Got to the swim start area, and once you know it, we walk up right up and onto all the female pros. So that was kind of cool. Got to say hello to a couple of them and just kind of, spectate a little and see how they do things. We got into our gear, got into our wetsuits, got into line. We huddled up and, had some words together as a team, and that was special.
Got in the water and started swimming, and I always count the buoys as I go through the swim, and I realized that these buoys were coming up really quickly. So I knew that we actually had the advantage of the downstream current this year, more so, much more so than in 2021. I was just picking them off and trying to stay as close to the buoys as possible. I think I ended up swimming about 2,400 yards, so consider that a big win for staying on target and just tracking my way down the river.
This swim was a great swim. Yes, there was some current and the buoys were coming pretty quickly, but I still feel very good about the swim that I had. I came in with a 37 minute and some change for the swim time, and even though there was a current and that helps us all along, I still felt like I have improved in my swim, and even while I was swimming, I felt like my form was better. I've got that bad crossover, so I kept that in mind, and I think I kind of kept that in check today.
We got to the swim exit. I saw Coach Frank on the rail and kind of gave him a little pump. And I, for the first time ever, probably ran my entire way through transition coming out of the swim, which I've never done. Usually I'm just trying to get my bearings. I'm not too concerned about my transition time, but I was like, well, I've got the energy, I can do it, let's get to the bike. It's a very long transition, very big transition spread out. So I knew it was going to add up to some time, so I wanted to minimize that as much as I possibly could.
Out of the water, I was 61st in my age group out of 131 that finished. But what I really liked best was during transition, during T1, I hopped up 10 spaces. So when I hopped on my bike, I was already 51st in my age group. And I know that bike, I think that's where I shine the most. And so I was just ticking them off at that point.
Went out on the bike, got started on the bike, and I was like, oh, I hope these legs come around, because right now they don't feel good. And in the first 5 miles of the bike, I'm thinking, man, I got to get up Andrews Hill. I'm not so confident that I'm gonna have much horsepower to get up Andrews Hill. And that's all I could think about in the first, 26 miles before we got to that hill.
So I refamiliarized myself with that hill, because we know it's a bit of a doozy, so I was able to get into the proper gearing and I made it up the hill. Not gonna say it was easy, because it wasn't easy, but I was in the right gear to do it, and I was able to get up and even made a PR, and that bettered my time than 2 years back.
Made my way downhill, made my way up the uphill turn, made sure I was in the right gear, saw a few people on the side of the road that weren't, and I just put my head down and just kept chugging up that hill. And I was bound and determined to get up that hill and to be strong, and it was tough, but it was short and it was over pretty quickly. So I got up that hill and then I continued on, had a little bit of a downhill. That was nice to give my legs a break. But I don't think very often in the entire race I stopped pedaling very much at all. I didn't coast much. I used the downhill to propel me into the uphill, but it's a legit course and it'll demand the most out of you, and you have to be on your A game to really get the best out of yourself. So considering where I'm at, I was happy with that. I got back into transition and told myself, don't mess around here, get what you need, get out, get on the run, make it short and sweet.
Came into T2 and I had the 15th fastest bike split in my age group. And so at that point it shot me up to 20th or 22nd in my age group. I was rocking and rolling, feeling pretty good. But then I exited T2 and the wheels came off. It was a struggle. It was a struggle for me on the run today. I've got some things I gotta figure out. You know, some work I still gotta do. I also had to make a couple pit stops, which didn't help my time either.
She's struggling. Says she's having a hard time, had to take a body break. That's usually when she's running fast and she has to take a body break, and that's unfortunate, you know, that's always takes time then. There's a break in between her run stride and her run efficiency and everything, and hopefully she can recover. She's done with the first half now, so hopefully she can pick it up a little bit in the second half, not having another body break and finishing strong.
I think I was a little on the high end of 4 minutes in T2. Again, I consider that a win for me. Went out onto the run, started running, didn't know what my legs were gonna do since they didn't feel great on the bike, but they felt pretty good on the run, especially getting started. The first mile is net uphill. And so it's going to challenge you, and it did, but I just kept telling myself, you know, this is the worst you're gonna have this entire run. So just take your time, get up this hill, keep the heart rate in check, but keep running, keep moving up that hill, keep moving forward.
Just ran into Tiffany. Tiffany's feeling good. She said she's feeling strong. She can keep the pace, and she might be able to pick up the pace a little bit toward the end. So she looked really good. Hopefully she can pick up the pace in the last 2-3 miles, and that would bring her under 6 hours as we hope.
And I didn't want to be walking when I saw Tiff, but she came up on me without me knowing, and I was walking, and I hated that because I didn't want to show her that I was struggling, because I know we feed off each other and I knew she would feed off of that, and I didn't want to dampen her day.
On the run course, I crossed paths with Caitlin, and I knew that wasn't a good sign because I knew she should have been at least 4 or 5 miles ahead of me, if not 10 miles ahead of me, because she passed me pretty early on in the bike. And when we crossed paths, my heart just sank because I knew that she was struggling on the run.
And it wasn't just a struggle for me. There were others that were out there struggling as well. But I was grateful to be on the second lap and struggling so hard, and not just on my first lap. Even though I struggled some on my first, but the second is really when it really set in, and I just couldn't get it going. It was a struggle doing that last mile. Even though it was downhill, I just could not get the legs turning over very much. But once I did hit the red carpet, I tried to get the crowd into it because, you know, it's just fun. You know, you gotta have fun with this.
Saunders, keeping it weird. Straight out of Austin. Boy, that is one hard kick. She plugs it in, nice.
So that was an enjoyable moment, but once I hit that finish line, I found the nearest rail I could find, and I just hung over it for a little bit.
The last mile of the run course, most of it's pretty downhill, but I think I was too far in a deficit to really make up too much time in that last mile. And I didn't know where I was. I didn't look at my watch. I just told myself just to go as hard as I could, to give as much as I could to the finish line, and to turn in the time I did today with a swim that is 0.2 miles longer. I can overall be happy with the performance, knowing that I still have a lot of runway to go this season, and there are more gains that I can make, and lessons that I've even learned from this race. I came down the finish chute knowing again that I was going to be close, but I couldn't help but shout out, I'm back.
More winners here, Tristan Tudor, Kevin Ayala, Julie Christensen, Holden Silo.
I'm back because I truly feel like I'm finally back to being in the realm of the triathlete I know I can be. Still work to do, and I'm ready to do that work because I want to be better, and I know I can be. And ultimately, what we came here to get was a slot to Worlds in Finland.
Yes! Yes! We'll see you there!
Go get it. Go get it.
All right, 35-39, come on down, as they say.
And I got mine. and Kaylin didn't. And as her wife and as her biggest fan, it really hurts. I'm happy for myself because I feel like I get the short end a lot. And I'm ecstatic to have the chance to go race in Finland. But to not share the race with her will be really sad. But she's gonna go and she's gonna be the best damn Sherpa. And that makes me happy. But I really hurt for her because she deserves good things too. And I'm sad that she's sad.
There were extra women for tri-slots, and those rolled down, and it came down to the very last slot that they had to give. And there was one woman that wanted it in my age group, and she was 3 places ahead of me. She took it. The time difference was 6.5 minutes. In the 5 hours and 56 minutes that I spent on that course, surely there were 6.5 minutes I could have found somewhere. Probably in the porta potty. One of these days I'm gonna get it together and I'm gonna get back to how good I know I can be. I know I can do this. Today wasn't that day. Indian Wells wasn't that day. Augusta wasn't that day. But that day is coming again. Not gonna lie, I haven't shed some tears. Some tears have been shed. But I'm so excited for Tif. She is gonna have the best damn Sherpa out there. And so will Colin, because women go first and then the men after. This is going to be her redemption race from St. George. She's gonna redeem the hell out of it, and I can't wait to witness it.